best time to review, for example, the recordings or your notes?
Question says, with regards to seeking knowledge, won't be the best time to review. Won't be the best time for what? For recordings, to review your recordings or your notes. At different levels of review. Just like there are different levels of memory. Just like there are different levels of studying, different levels of researching. Some review is to be made daily, every day, every night. As soon as you get home, review the class notes because you have class tomorrow. And the teacher's going to ask you about that, or you want to know it. Pass it on. Tweet it, write it, give it, spread it. And there's some notes in which you don't necessarily need to review. You write down the notes to preserve the knowledge, to keep it on the shelf whenever you need it. Everybody clear on this? Whenever you what? Whenever you need it. And there's certain things that you only need to review for an exam, for an evaluation. It may be certain things that you don't necessarily need. You don't necessarily what? Need. But it's a part of an evaluation process to become certified. Everybody clear on this? It's different times, different types. What's important is you have to have a balance between study time and review time. 50-50, 60-40, that's going to depend on you. Everybody clear on this or not? That depends on what? On you. And also depends on how strong your memory is. If your memory is really strong and really good, obviously you don't have to review as much. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is you have a good, strong memory. The more you practice, it only makes you better. And the best masters of any art are those who practice the most and the hardest. They practice the most and the what? And the hardest. They rehearse. They practice. Their way is a polished, finely sharpened sword that's already been forged. And then it's polished, it's sharpened, it's signed. It's a work of art. And it's also a dangerous instrument of killing. Everybody understand this? Practice, review. Nurun ala nur. Light upon light. You get better and better and better and better. Keep teaching, keep reviewing until the knowledge becomes impossible to forget. And Allah knows best. Fadal, Omar.
Two questions. What books do you recommend in memorizing for the etiquette seeking knowledge? And is listening to videos online and audios of the ulama the same as sitting?
Type question says, what books do you recommend with regards to memorizing of the etiquettes of seeking knowledge, and is listening to the audio of the ulama the same as sitting with them? As far as what books, then I would initially say what I mentioned being theoretical. And the practical advice I would give you now is to memorize the ahadith regarding talab al-ilm or fadl al-ilm. Or a manzuma, a poem on talab al-ilm, adab talab al-ilm. Or a simple, small, mukhtasar book. Or at least the points from the book. The points, these awaiq. But to memorize this whole book or try to memorize this whole book with this speech and that speech, it's not necessarily something we non-sahbi we would recommend with. Clearness? So for example, مثلا, the book, let's take the smallest, simplest book, like Hilyat Talib al-Ilm. If you have the ability to memorize that book by Sheikh Bakr, ni'ma shay hada. That's awesome. But how many people can memorize a book like that? How it's set up, how it's structured. You can memorize 1,000 hadiths, and it can be easier and simpler. Memorize the entire Quran. It's easier and simpler than memorize a book in which it's qala fulan, this, that. It's not the same. Clear on this or not? Bidna subhanahu wa ta'ala. So find a small, short book that you feel is easiest to memorize. Or even better than that, is taking the summarized books that have been taught and explained, you writing them down, the points, and make your own mukhtasar. Your own what? No. I'm looking for a specific word. Your own what? Manual. Your own what? Your own manual. And then you memorize it. Sheikh Abdul Karim Khudayr and others will always say this. A Talib al-Ilm should make his own summary. Make your own mudhakkira. Put your own pocket notebook what? Together. Something that I wrote, I summarize it. I don't need that. I don't need this, but I do need this. Everybody clear on this? That's also a very important etiquette as well. As far as just sitting with your ulama in person, the same as listening to them online, yes and no. Yes and no. Obviously, the information that you get in the video or the audio is no different than the information of the one who's sitting right there that can see the sheikh's foot. It's the same sawt. قال المؤلف قال المؤلف. Clear on that or not? It's the same. لا يختلف. And it doesn't make any sense what I'm saying. It's not the same. No, it is the same from that aspect. It's the same amount of knowledge. Where it's different, obviously, listening to a record is not like going to a live concert. It's not the same. Is music permissible? We're not even making a mithal. Okay, an example. Anyone who's ever, he knows this, okay? Listening to a record is not the same as what? A live performance. The energy, the feel is night and day. See someone perform live is not like what? It's total difference. So you meeting someone in person, sitting with someone in person, meeting someone in person, the effects that it has on you, how you feel, is incomparable. It can't describe it in words. Everybody understand this? Point number 3, or the second point why it's different, is that there may be things that are said before the class or after the class which are not recorded. Third point, as is also mentioned, and this is you can argue over this point, is the akhlaq and the adab of the sheikh. You can see the sheikh on TV. You can see him on YouTube sitting. An ignorant person comes up to him, grabs him in the Prophet's masjid. Sheikh, tell me this right now. وَقَدْ رَأَيْنَا هَذَا. We've seen this in the Prophet's masjid. 400 students, 300 students, a pool of students, hadith students from all over the world, and an old Bedouin nomad man, or an old man on Hajj from Egypt comes up, kicks everybody, moves everybody out the way, stumbling on everybody, and walks up to Sheikh Abdul Muhsin and asks him a question, just like that, in front of hundreds of people. Everybody understand this? Did the Sheikh get angry, sit down, shut up, get out of here, anta musbil izaraka, you're this, you're that, who do you sit with in your country? He didn't say any of these things. Sit down, listen to him, and talk to him. And there were also other times we saw people, actually things like that were said. One man came in the haram, and he came up to Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Bad, and he was arguing about the points of the dhikr beads, or the zikr beads, the rosaries, the sabha. Is the dhikr beads, are they permissible or not? We're not here to discuss that. Is it a bid'ah or not? We're not here to discuss that. We're trying here to prove a point. So the man came with a totally full cup. He came with pre-assumptions and useless information. He started arguing with the sheikh, the dhikr beads. Why don't you have dhikr beads? Dhikr beads. Tell your students to have dhikr beads, etc. So then his sheikh was like, la. You know, everyone know how Sheikh al-Muslim, you know how he uses his fingers and how he talks. La, I'm looking at him now. Just like that. So the man, he didn't listen. So he started arguing. And he claimed that al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, rahimahullah, used to use dhikr beads. Okay? Did he or did he not? That's what he said. Hafidh ibn Hajar used to use sabah. Sheikh Abdul Muhsin, yes, says, Hafidh ibn Hajar used to use dhikr beads. He said, naam. He said, uskut. He didn't tell him, shut up, be quiet. Don't talk anymore. Everybody understand this? So that's something that may not be on the tape. And you learn how the alim deals with a jahil, and how the alim deals with another jahil. He's jahil too, but he has a what? Fuqah. It's a different story now. You're coming, debating, thinking you're a scholar. Okay, it's a different story. It's not the same as the one who just doesn't know. He's jahil. He came on Hajj on a boat. He doesn't know. It's first time on an elevator. Wallah, we've seen people scared of elevators. First time they've ever been on an elevator in their lives. They don't know nothing. It's not the same as someone's coming to argue or wishes to show his muscles, like many people they do. Yeah, sheikh, kada, and kada, and kada. They stick out their chests. That's a part of the full cup ideology as well. No, don't come like that. So certain things you can't get on a recording. Clear on that? Let alone the fact that you are privileged to certain things being with the sheikh. You see how he walks. Not saying that his walk is a hujjah, because that's extreme as well. I won't drink. Some brothers, wallahi, in Philadelphia, years ago when they heard there was a scholar in Medina that never drank cold water. They didn't know why he didn't drink cold water, but there's a health reason, Quran. They said, Sheikh Fulan doesn't drink cold water, I'm not going to drink cold water anymore. And these brothers that were abusing their wives, beating their wives to a pulp. But Sheikh Fulan doesn't drink the bad, so I'm going to what? Fahimtum? The Sheikh's walk, his talk is not a hujjah, but it is a role model. And sometimes you need someone in person to be your what? Role model. So sometimes sitting with the ulama and listening to the recording is the what? Same. Sometimes listening to the ulama and listening to the recording is totally different. And sometimes not absolutely totally different, but it's naqas. You just lose out on it. But it doesn't mean, and this is extreme as well, that you can't benefit from the recordings of the people of knowledge. How many tapes of Sheikh al-Albani have I personally listened to? I never met Sheikh al-Albani. He died when I was in high school. I was in the 9th grade when he passed away. But from the aspect of his ilm, his legacy, his thought, his debates and arguments, I feel like I've benefited from him as the one who's sitting on the sofa drinking tea with him. And how many people who lived in Jordan that never truly benefited what? From Sheikh al-Albani. or Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen? How many books did he explain in the tapes? Well, alhamdulillah, we listen to them, benefit from him. Huh? I never met Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen or Ibn Baz or many other scholars. So you can benefit from tapes. You can. Well, there's no more tapes. I'm a bit old-fashioned, sorry. In my day, when I first started, it was actual what? Tapes. You had a pencil. If it ripped, you taped it back up. There was no 200 gigs on an iPad. Unlimited power, huh? There was no unlimited power back then. Lie. You can download whatever you want, high-speed internet, live stream. It was none of that back then. You had to go to the tape store. You had to spend money. And you had to buy a big, heavy, cumbersome box of tapes. Take it back to your apartment, put it in the radio, and listen to it. There were MP3s, things like this, but it wasn't like, it was like a luxury. It was like a what? It's a luxury to have internet. You had to go out and call your family at a call cabin. This is a reality. And wallahi, those tapes that we listen to, only Allah knows how much knowledge we benefited from those tapes. Mallahu bihi alim. So what's important is that you work hard and that you're diligent and you use whatever you can. If you benefit from Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen's sharh of al-Aqidah al-Wasitiyah, khalas, alhamdulillah. If you have the ability to study dirasa nidhamiyah, formal study in which is a classroom, then that's what you should do as well. And most importantly is to do this and to do that. Even when you're in Medina, you study with Shaykh Abdul Muhsin, you go home to your apartment and you listen to the tape of Albani. You listen and you benefit in person. You mix. You study in the library, you sit with ulama, you read, you listen to other scholars, other classes. It's a combined arms element. And it isn't just one way, one thing. La abadan. Clear on this? Wallahu alam. If there are any other questions, if there are any questions, we will stop here. Jazakumullahu khairan. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.